You know, some stories, they're not just for entertainment. They literally build the worlds we live in. They give us our meaning, our direction, our purpose. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most foundational stories in history, a story that was born from crisis and ended up building a whole civilization.
Every great story needs a starting point, right? And this one begins at absolute rock bottom. The source material calls it the Year of Sorrow, a time of just crushing personal and public crisis. And this quote, it just perfectly captures this idea that from the deepest, darkest moments can come the most incredible gift.
So we're not just talking about a sequence of events here. This whole narrative, it's an answer. It's a story born directly out of suffering. A divine gift that comes right after a period of devastating loss and rejection.
And to really get this, you have to understand the context. The prophet had just lost his beloved wife, Khadijah, and his uncle and protector, Abu Talib. And as if that wasn't enough, he was then violently chased out of the city of Taif. I mean, can you imagine? He's completely isolated, he's grieving, he's at his lowest point. And it's right then that two powerful, world-shaping stories are about to begin.
Okay, so the first of these two stories, it's just miraculous. It's a personal gift, something meant to strengthen him, to console him. This is a journey not of this world, but a journey through the heavens themselves. All right, so to break it down, you've got two parts here. First, there's Al-Isra, which literally means to travel at night. That was the earthly part of the journey, from Makkah to Jerusalem. And then there's Al-Miraj, the Ascension. That was the journey from Jerusalem all the way up through the seven heavens. And the source material is really clear on this. This was a personal gift, a miracle designed to show him the greatest signs of his Lord.
Which kind of makes you wonder, right? How does a story like that, something so miraculous, so personal, become a coherent historical narrative that gets passed down through generations? How do you even begin to tell that story?
Well, this shows you it wasn't easy. This isn't some simple fairy tale. Historians and scholars had to piece this together like a giant jigsaw puzzle. They were working with accounts from over 20 different people, trying to filter out early exaggerations, and then solving this huge chronology puzzle to get all the authentic but sometimes conflicting fragments in the right order. It's a testament to just how much effort went into preserving the core of this incredible story.
And this is where we see this incredible pivot in the narrative. We go from the divine story to the human one. So if the Mi'raj was this miraculous gift from the heavens, a journey for the spirit, the Hijra, or the emigration, was all about meticulous, brilliant planning right here on Earth. It was a journey of survival, not for one man, but for an entire community.
So now we get to the Hijra, the emigration to Medina. And let me tell you, this is just a masterclass in strategy, in trust, and pure human ingenuity when faced with unbelievable danger. This is a story of action. The stakes could not have been higher, seriously. The source material talks about a plot by the leaders in Makkah, the Quraysh, to kill the prophet. And their plan was devious. They wanted a man from every single tribe to strike him at the same time so the blame would be spread so thin that no one could retaliate. The escape plan didn't just have to be good, it had to be perfect.
And just look at this plan. It is a work of operational genius. They didn't just run. They went in the opposite direction of their destination and hid in a cave for 3 days. And every detail was covered. You had an intelligence officer, Abdullah, sneaking out at night to give them updates. Then you had a cover-up operation, with Amir using his flock of sheep to literally erase Abdullah's tracks in the sand. And finally, you have the specialist, the guide, a non-Muslim they hired purely for his expertise in the secret desert paths. This was pure strategy.
And you know, what's amazing is that even inside this huge, epic escape story, you have these smaller, powerful little stories that have become legendary. They're not just details, they're essential parts of the whole narrative. So first, let's talk about the motivation here. The Quraysh put out a massive bounty, 100 camels for the prophet, dead or alive. Now, in that economy, that's a king's ransom. It's an unimaginable fortune that basically turned every ambitious man in the desert into a bounty hunter. And that bounty brought out Suraka ibn Malik, a very skilled tracker, and he was hot on their trail. The sources say he got so close he could actually hear them reciting the Quran. But something weird kept happening. Every time he got close enough to attack, his horse would just stumble and sink into the sand. Something was literally stopping him in his tracks. And this is Suraka, in his own words, telling his part of the story. Later on, when he got back, People in Mecca mocked him for giving up. And his response is just incredible. He's basically saying, "You weren't there. You didn't see what I saw." He went from being a bounty hunter to being a witness of something he couldn't explain, but he knew was real. The story completely transformed him. Then there's this amazing little story. In the middle of this tense escape, they stop at the tent of an old woman named Mabad. She has absolutely nothing to offer them. The prophet spots this weak, barren goat and just asks for permission to milk it. He says a prayer, touches its udder, and it fills with enough milk for the entire group. It's this quiet, beautiful story of miraculous provision right in the middle of a desert chase.
So you see what's happening, right? You've got the divine story that gives you the why, the spiritual strength, the ultimate purpose. And then you have the human story, the meticulous plan that gives you the how, the practical path forward. And the fusion of these two types of stories, that's where the real power is.
And this all leads to the climax. Their arrival in the city of Yathrib, which, by the way, gets renamed Medina, literally the city. And this is where it all comes together. The personal inspiration from the heavens meets the success of the meticulously planned journey on earth. Divine purpose met human action. And that single point of convergence, it laid the foundation for a brand new community and a new chapter in world history.
And really, that just leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? This whole history was built by fusing two kinds of stories. One that answered why they had to endure, and another that showed how they could. It makes you wonder, what are the stories that we tell to build our worlds? What are the narratives that give us strength in our darkest moments? And what are the plans we make to build our own communities? Because when you get right down to it, we're all built from stories.